If I was any good at singing, I would open this video by singing Wonderwall, but I'm not going to torment you guys with that today. Hello everyone, my name is Chrissy and welcome to my channel. Today I'm doing a book review of Wonder by R.J. Palacio. Wonder is a middle grade book, or at least I think it fits into the middle grade category. It features a character who is, I believe, 10 years old. He's going into the 5th grade, but we have this character named August Pullman, and August has what's known as Crutcher-Collins syndrome. This syndrome affects bone development and also facial tissue development. When August was born, he had a cleft palate and other things going on that required multiple surgeries. His mother has homeschooled him for the first 10 years of his life, but as he's becoming more stable in regards to his surgeries, his parents think that it's time for him to enter school. At least primarily his mother thinks it's time. So they apply for him to go to this school called Beecher Prep, which is a really fancy pants school, like application process and like screening, background checks. He ends up getting into the school and he has reservations because, as it's described in the book, he has some facial differences. The facial differences, primarily the scarring from surgery, and also, as it's described, his face looks like it has been burned. And kids can sometimes be awful when it comes to those with differences, and let me amend that. Really, people can be awful when it comes to differences. This book really just follows August through his first year at the school, where he encounters bullying, but he does make some friends. Now, before I get into what I like and dislike about this book, I do want to say that I am going to be talking about spoilers because there are some big parts to this book where I just can't help but talk about like the ending. So if you don't want to hear spoilers, now is a good time to not listen and not watch this video. But if you don't mind spoilers, then by all means come on this ride with me. So this book, for the most part, takes place through different people's point of view. So it's first person, different perspectives. The first quarter of this book is told from August's perspective, as well as the last quarter of this book. And then the middle of the book switches perspectives between Via, his sister, Jack, and then, oh, I forgot his name already, but Via's boyfriend, and Summer, who is another friend of August's. I did like the shifting perspectives. I thought it brought a little bit more depth to some characters, and also you got to see the other sides of certain parts of the story, which I think really lends itself to character motivations and development. Another thing that I liked about this book is that it does show some of the odd mindsets that people have when it comes to encountering someone who is different from you. For example, there's this character named Julian who is the bully to August, and I'll talk about him in a minute, but more I want to talk about his parents. His mother, in fact, sends out an email where she pretty much stipulates that August is this horrible influence on other children because she thinks he has an intellectual disability. And so not only does she think he is a horrible influence on other kids, but also she questions the application process of August getting into the school. August does not have an intellectual disability, he just has a syndrome that affects the development of his face. And there's other medical things that go on with it too. So I kind of like that part where she sends that email because it's something that I think could very much happen in real life. The last thing I want to say about the likes that I have of this book is that I think it's a good introduction to some important conversations. This is a book where if my son does decide to read it when he's older, I would love to have the conversation with him of why do you think people treat others differently and why does someone's looks matter so much? Because I think those are important conversations that you can have with kids and that this can be a good opener for that. Now to get into things that I didn't like about this book and some important conversations that I think need to be had. Now, as said, August gets bullied throughout his first year. He does make two friends, Summer and Jack. Summer is just a kind person who befriends August because she feels for him that he's eating alone and that no one's really going near him, and she doesn't think that's right, so she goes and makes friends with him. Jack is kind of forced to be friends with him because the principal had these 3 students be the welcoming committee, and Jack was one of them. Julian was also one of them as well, and then another girl named Charlotte. Well, Jack ends up being the person that August kind of goes towards because he's a lot more open than the other 2 are. Now, my problem with the book isn't the bullying itself. My problem is how it's handled and how it's resolved by the end of this book. So we have Julian, who even during the welcoming committee meeting with August, singles him out and says really snide comments. And then when August starts in the school year and Julian is in his same class, he continues with the snide comments and even escalates that to just making fun of him and isolating him from the other kids. There's never a confrontation between August and Julian that gives closure to their storyline, so that ends their storyline in some kind of conclusive way. Instead, what we get is Jack ends up having a confrontation with Julian, and then Julian one day just stops picking on August, and then his parents transfer him out of Beecher, and that's it. Now, one could argue in real life, it's extremely common not to confront your bullies and in fact just lose touch with them at some point in time. However, story-wise, it just doesn't make sense to me. Like, August does nothing. I will say that one scene that ends up happening, which kind of gives way into the bullying just stopping, is that the Beecher prep school ends up going on this camping trip, and there's other schools that are there too. And a group of older kids from another school end up picking on August, and then August's classmates come to the rescue, and that's why the bullying ends. It's because, well, we had to help him that one time, and now we have to be his protector. So this ties in a little bit to another dislike that I have of this book, and that is that August is put as inspiration only for inspiration's sake. Now, when I was writing notes for this review, and this part came up of him being inspiration just for inspiration's sake, I was trying to figure out how to word it, because he gets this award and there's a speech at his mini graduation ceremony for the 5th grade about how he's exemplary and how he's this really great person. But if we look at the actions that he takes in the book, there's nothing that makes him stand out from any other kid in his class to get this award. The major reason why I see this as a problem is because it says to me in this book that the only reason why he's thought of as brilliant, as a capable person, is because of this condition that he was born with, instead of the actions that he takes. So during the speech, the principal never says, like, the things that he does to actually earn this award. It just says that he's an inspiration to other people. But how? It would have been far more meaningful for August to have gotten an award in the sciences, something that he's good at and something that he's known for. If someone watching has read this book, what did you think about that? What do you think of August getting this award? Do you think it was well earned? I just don't think it was. Overall, not a bad book, and certainly one that can open up some really important conversations. But the lack of character growth and the lack of closure in the storylines just really keep this from being a great book for me. By all means, please tell me what you think down below in the comments, and thank you so much for sticking with me in this video. As always and forever, may you get lost in a book.